So you play Sparking Zero, you play ranked, and you want that big, beautiful Z rank. Well, in this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how to achieve such a thing. Let's get started. First tip is to play more Sparking Zero. Shocker, to get better, you gotta play more. But yeah, you're gonna need at least, I would guess, like 200 hours of Sparking Zero to get Z rank, and that's if you take all my tips to heart and, you know, play it pretty consistently. I personally have like 800 hours in Sparking Zero, so I'm able to use some lower tier characters to hit Z, and that's even with taking a lot of breaks. So if you put a lot of hours in, you know, you can definitely take a longer break and come back and be, you know, okay. But yeah, that's the first tip. The second tip is kind of counter to the first one, but it's just as important, trust me. And that's to take breaks from Sparking Zero when it frustrates you. This game can be really frustrating. I've taken multiple like month-long and multiple month-long breaks from this game. And yeah, like you need to take breaks from it or else that's going to happen to you too. And it's going to happen to you a lot. So whenever this game frustrates you, like just step away, go do something productive, like do the dishes, take out the trash, go for a walk. Like just get away from the game, so that way you're not like, you don't blow up and swear off the game for like months or a year or forever, really. So yeah, make sure you're taking breaks, and that'll help you keep playing this game like long term. The third tip is to play stronger characters. One reason you might not be getting Z, or at least not Z very quickly, is you're using someone weak like Chaozu or Cyberman or like some low DP character. And if you're trying to get Z rank as fast as possible, you know, you want to be using a strong character. Like a lot of 10 DPs are very strong characters. A lot of the 9 DPs are strong characters. Like Whis is a good character if you're trying to get Z quickly. You know, like if you're trying to get to Z as quick as possible, if you're just trying to get that Z badge, use the strong character. If the Z badge is all that matters, use the strong character and you'll get there much quicker. And my fourth tip is to use tactics that are available to your character. So if you have Afterimage Strike, you know, don't be afraid to use it. Like I know a lot of people think that stuff's cheesy, but if your character has it, you should be using it within reason. Because like there's other characters with crazy cheesy tactics like Kefla, like base Kefla, who has like the no step back like rush super, and you'll win a lot of games like spamming that, but you're not going to get very many rematches, and you're probably going to get a lot of people blocking you. So I wouldn't use anything too cheesy, but if your character that you're using has like Wild Sense, use it. Like if your character has Stardust Barrier, like, you know, Gogeta Blue, use it. Like use your tools even if they're a little cheesy. I just wouldn't go too cheesy. Like another really bad character, I say bad, but annoying character to fight is a blue Vegeta who likes to use Gamma Burst Flash. Like any of these instant supers are just really annoying to fight, one-dimensional fights. I wouldn't spam super cheesy stuff like that, because like I said, no rematches, a lot of people will block you. But beyond that, like whatever your opponent has, don't be afraid to use them. Just don't become one-dimensional and only rely on that to win. Like you still got to be good at the game to get Z. Fifth tip is to use an Ethernet cord. Basically, if you're on Wi-Fi, your connection is not as stable as it could be. An Ethernet cord is definitely much more stable, and that'll help you be more consistent in your fighting. And this goes for any like fighting game or any game that relies on like good connection. So yeah, use an Ethernet cord. I know not everyone's able to. You know, some people are like way away from the router and they're at their parents' house, or you know, or whatever the situation is. If you are able to use an Ethernet cord on the system you're using to play Sparking Zero, do it. It'll make your experience much more consistent when playing online. The sixth tip is kind of related to the fifth one, and that's to play on Hyperbolic Time Chamber. Not a lot of people know this, but the connection is better, or I should say, there's less delay when you play on Hyperbolic Time Chamber versus all the other maps. So like every single map like adds lag to the game. So like you'll have to press things a little bit earlier on different maps than you would if you were on Hyperbolic Time Chamber. So for a more consistent experience, I would play on Hyperbolic Time Chamber. I know it's boring, you know, like you can get used to other maps if you want, but I think it's optimal to play on Hyperbolic Time Chamber. Another tip is to practice your super counters. So when you're down key, when you start a Vanish War, instead of vanishing, you should try to super counter. And you can't super counter after you vanish. So like, instead of vanishing not even once, go for the super counter if you're down key in a Vanish War. It'll be hard at first, but the more you do it, the more consistent you'll get. And a thing to keep in mind, everyone's timing is different, like, you know, internet connection, ping, and delay. So like, some people you'll have to press it really early, and other people who have really good internet, you're pressing it on hit. And so that's something to keep in mind. Also, you should be practicing the super counter if, let's say they have your back and they're hitting you in the back. On that last hit, like if they go with a step in with a regular like square, you should super counter that. So when they step in to hit you on the last hit, you should super counter that. But yeah, just practice your super counter, especially like when they're hitting you in the back. That's a great time to be practicing your super counters. And actually try to like time it. Don't just like mindlessly mash up, you know, in square or whatever your buttons are. And another tip is when you're like waiting between matches and you're practicing against the CPU and like the training mode they let you practice in, you should have your opponent set to guard. And the reason is it'll basically help you find like more true combos and whatnot, because like if your opponent can just guard, then like what you're doing doesn't really you know, it's not really effective. Sometimes you'll want to turn it off to practice some other combos and whatnot, but like 90% of the time you should have your CPU opponent set to guard only to practice your combos. And basically like your opponent like is not always going to be guarding, obviously, so like, you know, that's when you kind of test those combos too. But if your opponent's blocking, you know, you'll have like a reliable base of like moves and muscle memory to take advantage of that. So yeah, when you're practicing, set your opponent to guard. Tip number 9: when you matchmake against 5 connection. You should also matchmake same language. You know, at least if you're in the United States, that makes it less likely you'll get someone from like Latin America or somewhere where the internet might not be as good. The reason you want to use 5 is because if you use 4, you're going to get a much wider spectrum of connection, and that's going to give you a less consistent fighting experience. Your different super counter times, different vanishing times, and you'll get a lot of people who lag a lot, like lag spikes like crazy. So you want to play on 5. If you like insist on playing on 4 connection, I would not go below 4. But if you insist on playing on 4 connection, you should play a little more passive. So charge your key more, that way you can rely more on vanishing as opposed to super counters. But yeah, I would highly suggest you only matchmake against 5 connection. You won't get matches as quickly, but you'll definitely, at the higher level, you'll have a much nicer time. Tip 10 is another matchmaking option, and that's to matchmake against higher ranked opponents. That's one of the options. You can do like none or, you know, similar. I always choose like higher, because that way you get like better competition, because like it's very important that you get your skills up. So if you're used to fighting like higher skilled opponents, When you fight the lower experienced people in your ranks, you'll have an easier time. Also, higher ranks tend to have better internet, especially S and Z. Like a Z rank and an S rank are much more likely to have like an Ethernet cord plugged in, or a more consistent like Wi-Fi than your average like D rank, C rank, B rank, A rank. So the higher ranks usually have better internet, not always, but like usually. Tip 11 is pretty simple. Block laggy opponents. If you lag against someone like twice in a row, say you fight them, don't rematch laggy players. So don't rematch if they're laggy. If you fight them again and they're laggy again, block them. Okay? Do not be fighting laggy people consistently. It's not helpful. It's not good for your muscle memory. Like, just block them if you found someone who's like consistently laggy. That's one less person you can fight, but like in the long run, I think it'll be good for your skills. Tip 12 is to try to mimic your opponent's moves. So if they do some crazy move on you in a match, like record that match, watch what he did to you, and try to do it in like practice mode. Or even if you don't record it, if you remember it, try to do it in like the practice mode between matches. But always be trying to like, see what your opponent does and try to see if your character can do it, or maybe switch their character and try to do it. It'll definitely help you understand the game better and give you more tools to use against other people. Tip number 13, lucky tip 13. Don't use too many supers. Most of the time, and at a high level play, like against the other Z ranks or like really good S ranks, if you use a super, they're just gonna vanish, and you're gonna get punished for it. So at a high level, like, we don't really use a lot of supers. Just get used to not using supers a lot. Like, there's gonna be, if you can punish someone with a super, say they miss theirs and you can hit yours, yeah, 100% go for it. Anytime you can punish with a super, go for it. But if it puts you in a vulnerable spot, like they're able to vanish, like, don't use a super. Tip 14 is to observe your opponent. So in certain situations, like that you keep finding yourself in, like, observe what they do and try to guess, what they're gonna do in that situation again. A lot of times I just assume they're gonna do the same thing, like they're gonna step to the side, like I'll delay a light smash and hit them with it, or say they go right at you, then I won't delay it. You know what I mean? So you want to observe your opponent so you can guess what they're going to do in the future. And along the same line, like when you're doing a combo, you want to, like mix up what you're doing based on what your opponent's doing. So if you fully charge like a gut punch and they sidestep it, next time don't fully charge it and it'll probably catch them. So you want to be, guessing what they're going to do, and you want to be guessing what button they're already pressing if you got them in a combo or whatnot. You always want to be doing that, because that's what wins matches, is when you pick the counter to what your opponent's doing. So that's the video. There's probably more points I could have thought of to, help you get to Z rank, but like, I think I covered most of the bases. This should help you get a long ways to Z rank. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you learned something, I'm glad. Like the video or whatnot. But yeah, the rest of the video is just going to be my matches leading up to me getting Z. Hope you guys enjoy.
I bet I was as cool as Jen back there. I'll keep training hard, so I can always have Tien's back.
I'm gonna have you help me, Ted. Over What's wrong?
Well, I bet I was as cool as Tien back there.